you're thinking about starting a business, congratulations. One of the coolest things you can do. Gives you freedom, time, money, purpose, just all around exciting. I love talking about business. Specifically, I want to make sure that you know the 2 legal things you got to do as soon as you start your business. The first is get an LLC, and the second is get good contracts. So the LLC, let's talk about that. You probably have some idea of it. What the LLC does is it creates a separate entity that now you own and you work on behalf of. So this LLC means you are shielded. So if this is your home, you're shielded from liability outside of it. If you have another business, it's also shielded. So it creates protection between you and your personal assets and you and any other business you might have. So that anything that happens within this LLC should stay within that LLC. Depending on which state you're in, some of them are more expensive than others, but if you are going to be operating a business, you need to be comfortable going and getting an LLC, whatever that cost may be. It also helps to start prepare you for one day bringing on employees, or even, you want to think big, selling it one day. Everything needs to be within that LLC. You want it from day one, LLC all the way through. Same LLC, same EIN. You want to take your business very professional, but really you want to make sure that if for some reason there's some lawsuit that is potentially catastrophic, whatever that number would be, they are suing that LLC. So what does that look like if they're suing the LLC? It means they can sue the assets that are owned by that LLC. If that LLC owns a pickup truck, that pickup truck is now available. If there's $100,000 in a bank account, that $100,000 is now available. If you have those things outside of the LLC, unrelated to the business, and you're not commingling, meaning using your personal assets and your business, so everything business needs to stay within the business to get this protection, then those personal items are now protected from any lawsuits. So very, very important. So we create a business, LLC, that houses the whole business. The bank account is in the business name. All the transactions are from this business bank account. You do not pay anything from your personal account. If the business owes rent or owes money to somebody, you put money into that business bank account, and then the business bank account pays it. Otherwise, you're messing up the liability protection. So that's the first thing. Get an LLC. Don't overthink it. There's some gurus on the internet about this and that. Just go get the LLC. We've seen enough bad things in our legal practice. It's not worth risking it. Go get the LLC. Second thing you need are good contracts. Some businesses may not need these, but if you are a service-based business, you have to have good contracts. And you need this day one. The reason is this is the crux of your entire relationship with your clients. And it will eat up more time than you want to believe disputing what you agreed upon. So of all the contract disputes we've handled in our law firm, almost every one of them, the parties disagree on what the agreement was. I would venture to say that both sides would sign or would pass polygraph truth tests saying what I'm saying is true. They just saw it differently. They believe that they agreed on different things. So whatever it is, it happens, but it happens in between a phone call, an email, marketing, maybe a text message, and a lot of times prior clients and prior experiences and prior companies, a lot of what you call assumptions. Oh, I assumed you were going to do this. You say, I never said I was going to do that. Or this was going to be to this quality, or it's going to be delivered on this time. The power of the contract is it removes all this and puts everything down on one, hopefully, a handful of sheets of paper and says, this is what we are agreeing to. Are you good with that? And that way you have this very singular moment that shows what you agreed to. Disputes can still arise, but you want to be really clear on the basic terms. What is the scope of services? How much is being paid? Very important. You got to get those 2 things done. So when you're starting a business, go ahead and make sure you have an LLC and a very well-written contract. The other part of this contract is you need to understand it. You don't want to send a contract that you don't understand to a client. It's a bad look. Also, what happens if they're like, hey, what does this mean? So that's why you want a well-written contract from a lawyer that is in plain English. Everyone needs to be able to understand it. These contracts are not designed to trick people. There's actually, when you're tricking somebody, makes it harder to enforce. You want it to be very clear. You just want to make sure that you are clear on your deal and you can enforce what y'all are agreeing to. That is the purpose of the contract. Very, very simple. They don't have to be super long, but they need to be well written. We recommend it be either drafted even as a template by a lawyer or reviewed by a lawyer, because there is an architecture to the agreement. And if you're the one who has it and there's something that doesn't make sense, it's ambiguous, then the other side usually prevails. So a lot of times we'll see AI is doing this and online is like 70% right, but the whole thing has to be right. Your business is not worth the risk, because if a little bit of it's wrong, the whole thing is messed up. So you got to make sure that the architecture of the agreement has proper integrity. The sections are talking to each other. Things like indemnification clauses, we see AI get the wrong party. We've even seen attorney's fees clauses flipped. So sometimes has all the right stuff, but it's just not quite there. I'm sure it will be very soon. But you got to make sure you're getting a lawyer looking at this, so that if there's a dispute, all you have to do is put it in front of the client and it's crystal clear who's going to prevail. So I hope that helps. Good luck with your business. Very exciting time. LLC contracts. Get them in order. That'll help you sleep well at night.